Hello there everyone, and welcome to another edition of Lydia's Crafty Corner with me, Lydia, in my little crafty corner. So today I'm going to be sharing with you a technique that may help you with your stamp layered placement when not using outlines. So when you don't use an outline on your layered images, it does give a softer look and it can stretch your supplies if you'd like it to. So this is the stamp set I'm going to be using. I'm going to be using Always There, and I'm going to be using the flowers, and like I said, I'm not going to be stamping this outline image. So to start with, I'm going to stamp my base layers, and I've just popped them in position where I want them to be, close the lid, and I'm going to stamp these using the beautiful pink pearl ink from Altenew. So I'm just going to ink these up and then stamp them into position. I'm going to be using 4 flowers on my card, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to turn this piece around. I can then stamp some more of the same images in exactly the same place. So I only need to position my images once to get all of these different stampings of them. I'm then going to take the outline image. Like I said, I'm not going to stamp this, but I am going to use it for placement. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop the second layer of image that I need, and I'm going to layer this up on top of that outline image and then pop it into place. And this will help me get in the perfect position without actually, in fact, stamping that outline. So I'm going to do that again. I've got the outline at the bottom. I'm going to layer up the second layer on top of it, pop it into position onto my stamped image, close the lid on my MISTI, and then I'm removing that outline image from the bottom. So I've got a 2 stack and now I've got 1 stack. So for this layer, I'm going to be using the beautiful Coral Bliss. So I'm just going to stamp that in position. Again, I'm going to turn my piece around and stamp it again. So I do have my 4 flowers done all in 2 different stampings. So once I have popped this into position and it's all done, I'm then going to move on to the third layer, and I'm just going to do exactly the same as I did before. I'm going to take the outline image, but this time I'm taking the third layer of the flower. I'm just lining this up so I can see all of the different bits on that clear stamp, making sure it's nicely in place, then placing it over the stamped image that I already have, closing the lid on my MISTI, and then removing that outline. You do need to remove the outline layer, otherwise you are going to ink it up when you do add the ink. So again, for the larger flower, exactly the same. The outline image on the bottom, the layer that I want to do lined up with it, close the lid on my MISTI, then remove that outline layer. I can then ink this up, and for this one I'm using the beautiful Heartbeat. So I have used the Tea Time collection of inks to do these flowers, and I think when done in this colour they do look very much like poppies, especially when I put the centres in. So for the centres I'm going to be using some Industrial Diamond for the solid centre, and as you can see I'm just using a little block. I do find that for the small pieces I find it easier and quicker for me to use my block. And I'm just going to add in the centre for the smaller flowers, again using the Industrial Diamond. I do love this grey. For the detail parts of the poppy inside, I'm using the pure Graphite ink, and as you can see it's really easy just to pop them in. Once I've done all my stamping, I have in fact done some leaves as well. For the leaves I used just green and hunter's green. And I'm just going to cut all these out using the coordinating dies that match the stamp set. So these are the Always There dies. I'm just placing these around the images and then running them through my die cutting machine. Once run through, I will have beautifully die cut images to add onto my card. For the sentiment, I'm using one from Circled Sentiments. I've stamped it in black and then stamped over it again using some embossing ink and heat set using some crystal clear embossing powder to give a really shiny enamel look. So I'm just going to pop this into place. I want to add it a little bit of dimension, so I've added some foam tape behind, and I'm just trying to line that up using my grid mat behind. I'm then going to add the flowers on again with some foam tape. I'm going to tuck these in and around that circle sentiment that I have there, just to add a little bit more interest, having some of them tucked in and some of them going slightly over that black circle. Once these are in place, I'm then going to add in my leaves. So I've added the flowers using some foam tape so they're nice and bold and pop up a little bit from the card. But for the leaves, I'm going to use some of my favourite go-to glue, which is the Altenew tape runner, and these are going to be flat on the card. I do find that this gives a really more of a look of depth and dimension when you do your flowers popping up and your leaves nice and flat to the card. I do love the added dimension that this brings. So I'm just going to pop these all into different places, and when I'm happy with them, I'm then going to add in a little bit more detail. So I'm just going to rip a little bit of scrap card, and I'm popping this over the sentiment. Reason being, I don't want any of these black dots on the sentiment. So I'm just going to use some of the jet black spray ink. I'm going to remove the nozzle, and I'm just going to splatter and spray some of the black onto there. I love the look this gives. It does give a more of an artistic look and gives a little bit more detail and interest to the background. I'm then going to do exactly the same thing. I haven't moved that little piece of cardstock that's protecting our sentiment, and this time I'm going to be using some antique gold. So I've shook this one up, as this one does have mica in it. You're going to want to give it a good shake before you do add your splatters. Once I've added enough splatters, I'm just going to remove that piece of scrap cardstock that's protecting my sentiment, and there is the card complete. I would let this dry before you send it out, but it is a really, really pretty way to add some interest with those splatters. So here is the card complete. I really do hope that you've enjoyed the video and that you like the technique as well. Maybe it may help you line up some of those different images that you'd already have in your store. So thank you again, thank you so much for watching. If you want to watch any more videos that we do upload to the channel, it'd be great if you do subscribe, and there are a couple more here for you to watch if you would like to too. Again and again, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you again really, really soon. Bye bye.